Liz. This video is to just go over a brief overview of how we make chocolate at the UMD Chem E Chocolate Lab. And so our chocolate is made bean to bar, which means we start with beans and we end with bar. Although we do more fun molds, so we don't do like a typical chocolate bar. So cocoa beans are harvested from cocoa pods. Super cool painting here. And then they go through a fermentation process. So when you think of fermentation, you usually would probably think of like cheese and stuff like that, but cocoa beans are also fermented. So like yeast and microorganisms are added to those cocoa beans, and that brings out the flavor, the unique flavor of those cocoa beans. And so the first step that Leanna is going to start talking to you about in a little bit is roasting the beans, which kind of takes care of those microorganisms.
This is the first step of the chocolate making process. We are going to roast the beans. So I add them into our roasting chamber container. We're going to leave an inch from the top of open space so that the beans can kind of move around on their own inside here. We have the roasting machine right here. We're going to put it in. Our beans are inside, and in the side of the container, it's about a pound of beans, so we're going to click the 1 pound setting. And then we usually use a common P2 setting because the beans that we use are pretty low in fat. So the roasting setting P2 makes the fat not as pronounced in the flavoring, so you still get an acidic, fruity flavor inside the beans. So I'll select P2, and then we'll start. You can see it's rotating inside, and then this is basically like a little convection oven, so it's heating up the beans inside it. Next is the second step in the chocolate making process. We want to grind the beans, which then separates them from the nib inside and the shell. If you see, inside is this dark bean flesh that we use to make the chocolate. That's the nib. And then on the outside is the shell, which we want to separate. To do that, we have to grind them all up and put them in here. And that's what this machine does. We load them. And then it's kind of loud. They've been grinded. This is step 3 of the chocolate making process. Now that we've roasted and ground our beans, what we have is the middle meat of the bean, the nibs that we want to make the chocolate from, and we have the shell. In order to separate them, they used to separate it by hand, so pick out the shell from the nib, and that was so tedious. So this is what they have invented now. What happens is you load in the mixture into here, and we turn this vacuum on, and there's various pipes going on inside this, and it creates a back pressure and a suction force that's great enough to pull the shell, which is lighter than the nib itself, and have it fall into the bucket where it's collected, and then have the nib, which is the heavier side of it, fall through here and is collected down here, which is what we want. So in order to do it, it's very loud, so we put on hearing protection, but it looks like this. As you can see, here we have the nib, the heavier part of the bean, which we'll make the chocolate with. And here is the 4th step of our chocolate making process. As you can see, we have all the ingredients here. We have our cocoa nibs that we've ground, roasted, and winnowed. We have the milk powder that we're going to be adding into it. It needs to be a powder because you cannot add any drop even of water to this, otherwise it will seize. The water turns it into a very viscous fluid, stopping all of the cogs and wheels from turning. And then we have our sugar here, which we'll be adding, as well as our cocoa butter. These are our reactants, which will be put into here, and through the combination of mixing and just grinding up the particles down to smaller sizes, that's where our chemical reaction happens. And then we'll have chocolate. So I will add in all of our stuff. The milk powder, the cocoa butter here. The cocoa butter is very hot because I had to melt it to get it to the right temperature to be able to pour in. And then I'm going to turn it on. And it'll start spinning, as you can see here. We'll get it going a bit. It smells really good. You can't smell it, but it smells good. And then we add the nibs. We'll rumble around a bit. It's been 3 days that we let our chocolate melange for, and as you can see, it is now chocolate. So, in order to give chocolate the texture that you want it to, we have to change the crystalline structure. In order to do that, we add this cocoa butter to it, just a little, about that much, which then seeds the growth of the correct crystalline structure so that you're then tempering it. Tempering is just the process of wanting the right structure to form in whatever you're making, whatever you're cooling down from a liquid to a solid. So that's what we do here, and the right structure will give it a snappy, kind of melt in your mouth flavor. If you ever, if you have a Twix bar or a Snicker bar and you maybe set it out in your backpack for a day and then you grab it and there's white stuff on it and it's maybe a different consistency, that's just that the chocolate got heated up, maybe by the sun or whatever, and then didn't form the right structure again. It still tastes the same, it's still great to eat, it just feels different in your mouth. So we're gonna add those to it and then pour them in the molds you see here. We have lots of fun ones. We have unicorns and llamas and octopus and dinosaurs, and we'll make some chocolate for you guys.